Here he is.
Hey, buddy. How's it going?
I am well. I was just explaining to the lovely people of the internet why I am in Jane's workshop.
Again.
Because so Sully is, I don't know, maybe it's the fact that he's in the house more often than he has been the past few weeks. So I don't know, he's just not going to sleep. Jane's still rocking him to sleep now, and it's 9 o'clock, which is not a time that a 3-year-old should be going to bed. So I'm using Jane's space, and Jane's space is amazing. So Jane is my wife. She's a jewelry designer and maker, and she's a silversmith and a goldsmith. And so she's surrounded by all of these super cool tools, and everything is physical, and she makes beautiful things. She made these rings with her hands, which is the total opposite to me, because I'm a right klutz and I'm pretty useless at anything. Are you handy, James? Can you make stuff?
God, no, man. Nah. If anything breaks down in this house, Naomi's fixing it. Yeah, that's not going to happen, man.
Yeah, I'm the same. My dad's amazing. My dad's sort of an engineer by trade, but he retired from that, but now he's a handyman. And he built this workshop. I'm sitting in this lovely workshop. Yep. He built it in January for $1,000. And he's just the sort of person as well that finds stuff. I don't know what your parents are like, but he'll just go, like the doors and the windows, double glazed doors and windows to this workshop. He just went, I just found them.
What? Who? How?
Who finds a door? I don't know. I think you have to have the eye for it. I presume you just have to.
I think so.
I don't know. That's not me. I wish I could be, and I think my dad's probably eternally disappointed. Oh, Jane Kenny Jewelry has joined, so that means Sully. I can't see her. Oh yes, Sully is finally gone to sleep, and bless her, she's.
Good.
Looking. So our house and our workshop is very small, and if I lean back, I can see through the window, and I'm waving at Jane, who's about 12 foot away because our garden is small. Anyway. Hello everyone, welcome to Hustlemania Onlине 2. James, how are you? What's going on, mate?
Oh, good, man. I'm doing the same as you, probably. Being shut in and trying to make the best of it. So it's been okay, man. It's with some of the topics that we're going to be talking about tonight, it's sort of conducive to being in this situation, so trying to make work for yourselves and that sort of thing. I meant to ask you this last time we were talking. Are you still working on Aardman work while you're at home? I assume you are.
Yeah. So proper. So it's continuing as normal, basically. Yeah, I'm working from home, and most of Aardman is working from home. As we get, obviously, it's very easy if you're working on a computer. Not so easy if you're working on the studio floor. So things are just being arranged at the moment for how that work can be continued. But my stuff at the minute, I'm doing design stuff. So so I'm carrying on, and I've got loads to do, which is ace. And then in the evenings, I'm just still carrying on doing my own stuff. And that's, I guess, kind of worth saying, right? That's kind of where we want to start as a topic tonight, which is side projects. James bonded over them. So I suppose, and we're going to try and be better at time this session round, right? Because we didn't realise an hour we get cut off, so we'll try and be concise. So any questions that anyone has, please leave them in the thread, and then about the 40-minute mark, maybe 45-minute mark, we'll go to that and we'll try and answer all of them.
Sounds good, man. Yeah.
So do you want to kick off, James? I guess if we're talking about passion projects, side projects, what I'd love to hear from you, and I'm sure everyone else would, is as someone that works for themselves, how do you, first off, tell us about some of your side projects and obviously your side hustles that have definitely led into more commercial work and have built your portfolio, and how you feel about that. But also, I'm curious to how do you define the balance between what is, I guess it could be a client project, someone else is paying you to do something, then a passion project. But how do you maintain any sort of discipline and focus between what is a side project and what is what you do during the day?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I guess like you said, you and I are both we're the products of side projects back in the day, right? So if we rewind the clocks 10 years ago, it was me and you goofing around on Flickr and making posters and making videos in your case, and just put them out there because we just love to do it. So it's hard for me to specify, to pick a project out of my portfolio and say this is a result of a passion project, because my entire career at this point is a result of doing my own stuff. So Signal Noise was a side project until the scales tipped, and then everything has been a result of me doing my own thing. the it's hard to, and that's where the part of this topic gets a little bit blurry for me, because I always have to do side projects, because that's number one, it's just in my DNA to do them, because I'm a creative kid. I still am. So I just want to keep putting out the kind of artwork that I want to put out. But there's always what I try to do now. And this is like, I am very, very aware that I have a very unique position where I can take time out of my week to dedicate to passion projects and still be able to pay the bills. And I know it's a unique situation, and that is not lost on me at all. But I have that, that privilege, at this point to be able to set aside time. So,
but that's only come because you've built up your business to facilitate that, right? That's not just you've got a phantom investor who just gives you no. gives you work. You have done that because you've built that in as part of your process to allow you to do it.
Exactly, yeah. And it took 10 years to get to this point. And but it is built into my schedule, into my week. So now that I'm working on the YouTube channel and doing videos for that, I say every Friday is going to be shoot day. So I do all of my shooting, I do all my recording, or I try to do it all within that day, and that way I can edit it over the weekend and have a video out the next week. So and all of that, again, that's a side project. Like, I don't make money off of YouTube. I just started a Patreon, but I don't make any money off the damn thing. It's just because I want to do it. I want to share my experiences, my skills, tips that I picked up along the way, and hope that people in our situation 10 years ago will see that, and it'll help them kind of realize what they might be able to do, and what they might be able to explore on their own time. So it's because, like, a little end cap on this, I suppose. Like, I think what I've noticed online is that it's become kind of trendy for people to kind of, I don't know if this is common or not, but like kind of play down the side project as in like the do what you love cliche things that we hear. And it's unfortunate, because I think everybody should do side projects, because everything that you do, you can only get better. Every single thing that you do, you get incrementally better at your skills, your experience, your exploration, your concepts, thumbnailing, whatever it is, you're going to get a little bit better inevitably. So I think everybody should do them, just to keep the sword sharp, you know? But I know that you have a different trajectory that I did, because I did side projects and went freelance, but your side projects led you to work with one of the greatest goddamn animation companies in the world. So how'd that happen?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a massive believer. I mean, every talk I've ever given. That was Time Limit telling me that I've spent too much time on Instagram. So yeah, not doing passion projects. Yeah, so obviously a lot of my talks have always been about passion projects, and I think I believe in them so strongly because they really give me every opportunity.
One moment, can we give a big shout out to Hector, who's down in the comments right now?
Yeah,
man, Hector.
Director, creator of Off Festival. We love you guys, and Natalie and everyone there. So thank you for stopping by, Hector. Yes.
Thanks, Hector. Sorry,
and people like Hector giving us platforms to talk about passion projects has been a massive thing, because I just felt like, and still feel like, they're a massive way to, sharpen your sword is such a good way to say it, because for me, it is let me get different types of work, because I've tried to practice different aesthetic styles and different mediums, whereas previously I wouldn't have had those opportunities, because when you need to fit on someone's Excel spreadsheet or in someone's mental box of what you can do, it's very hard to break out of that, and no one's going to really ask you to break out of it, because that's not useful to anyone. They don't want that. If they're going to hire you, they want you for the skill. You kind of have to persuade them, and the only way you can persuade them is by building a body of work. And so, as well as it being like a tactical thing, if that's the only way I'm going to get these opportunities, I just love it. I just really love the thrill of kind of sucking at something and then trying to be a bit better, and then getting really angry and really frustrated with yourself and feeling like you're rubbish and you can never do anything. And then you have that tiny breakthrough, and then you go, oh, okay, maybe it's not all terrible. And, and that cycle is really important. And I feel very, very proud, because, there's a few particular things, a few particular passion projects. And we did mention this in our last online session, but for me, one of them was this bike film called Bike's Mine that turned from a 4-minute film into a 30-minute documentary made with many, many friends and people in Bristol. That changed people's perceptions, I think, of me and Aardman, he makes films. you know, because it was much grander in its ambition, and it only happened because it started as a silly tiny side project that was purely directed out of, oh, that'll be fun to do this thing, why not? And then just, you know, I think there's a real exciting thing of letting something snowball, but it ain't going to snowball unless you start building it in the first place, you know, and you start
Right.
like, you know, rolling that tiny piece of ice and just starting to sit there and go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's really, but that's not to underestimate how damn difficult it is, right? And I think this is something that we're both keen to stress, in that everyone's time is different, everyone's situation is different, everyone's energy levels are different at different parts of the day, week, month, year, and it's never to be underestimated that starting it isn't easy, because everyone says, how do you find the time, you know, but you've got to make the time.
Yeah, exactly.
That time is valid, right, of any duration, 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 20 hours. Yeah,
you're totally right. We talked about that last time we did a Hustlemania Online last week. Like time is the ultimate thing. Like, we never have enough of it, yet we feel like we have all the time in the world. And, you know, you're right. We have to make the time to do those things. And looping this back to like an employable designer or motionographer or whatever, if I were in a position where I were interviewing 30 people, the first cut that I would make are the people that are doing things on their own time, because that means they're passionate about what they do, but they're just interested. They're just interested in design. They're interested in the stuff outside of just getting a job. You know, those are the people that I'd be interested in. So, you know, and like interest and skill level are inevitably going to be higher. And those people, if they're at home on their own outside of work hours working on stuff, they might figure something out and bring that into the office the next day and say, I just figured out how to do this. This would be dope for this project. Like, that's new territory, right? So that's just, it's more employable, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I think it is. You're exactly right. It's about engagement, I think, because if you see someone's work that they're fulfilling the criteria that you want to hire them for, or whatever it is, whether it's a job or a freelance position or whatever. But yeah, if you then see that they go way beyond, not because you want to take advantage of that and think, well, they work late, so I'll ask them to work late. It's not about that. No. It's just it's a lovely connection of, oh, you really care and you're really interested and you're really engaged about it. And I think even if those passion projects never amount to anything, even if they're super weird and super niche, because that's what a passion project should be. There also doesn't have to be a commercial viability, right? It can just be a thing for a thing's sake. But anyone can spot passion in anyone else. And I think it's a lovely, very naturalistic human trait. You know, we want to work with passionate people. We want to work with engaged people. And they're also the people that are going to go ahead and do great stuff, because they're forging their own path. So, I just think never underestimate it.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, like people forging their own path, because 10 years ago or 11 years ago, whenever it was, when I was trying to cut my teeth at doing this design thing, the same time that you were trying to do it, one of the biggest influences, kind of in style, but more so in motivation, was Scott Hansen, ISO 50, Tycho. And talk about forging your own path, right? So back in the day, he would invent posters. Like, he'll just take a word in another language, design an entire poster around it, and have that in his online store. That's how I ended up discovering his work. So going through his portfolio, that's when it clicked. Like, you don't need to be hired to do stuff that looks like a dope ass commercial poster. You can just come up with the idea and the concept, execute it yourself, and put it online, you know? And that was a huge revelation. At this point, it seems like a no-brainer. But back in like 2007, when you're seeing a guy do this, like, oh, you can just do it. Like, that's awesome. So, I mean, it's his template model. And that's why I ended up making the posters that I was doing, like picking words and making posters. It's all Scott Hansen. Like, it was his influence way back in the day. Him combined with like Joshua Davis.
Yeah. But I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? Also, I feel like there's an air of mystery about it as well, in a sense of, because you then see this person or this studios or whatever, this creative body of work, and you have no clue when or where they did it. I'm sure if we could ever speak to Scott, he'd be like, oh yeah, I was feeling really down that day and I didn't want to do it, but I made myself do it, or I never thought this would take me anywhere. you know, but you as a viewer, you as someone who's looking to hire, or you as just looking for inspiration yourself, you only ever see the output of these individuals, and that's you forget when you're on the other side of it. You kind of feel like, oh, this is rubbish, or why would I do that? Because you end up comparing yourself to everyone else. But
absolutely.
you can't kind of waste time. If we have finite and quite rare time to make stuff, you can't spend a bunch of that time just thinking, oh, what if I can't, what if I this, that and the other, you know, because there's going to be obstacles in the way anyway. Don't worry, don't think, well, I need to put barriers down, because otherwise I could, like you will have blockers in the way anyway, so kind of don't make self-comparison one of them. That's easy said and done. It's a piece of poo for us to just sit here and go, hey guys, just make it.
Yeah, I know, and that's the thing, and that's why, it's to everybody here in the chat room. This is not lost on Gav and I. You know, we're just talking about our experience, and it's not. We know that our situation is very different from everybody else that's here, especially these days, right? So, everyone's always different, aren't they? There's no right or wrong. We only ever romanticize the people doing the things that are in the places that we want to be. But you know, they're gonna have struggled and felt confused to get there as well. Absolutely, man. Yeah. That's all part of it, right? That's all part of our DNA. Like, and we have to go through that frustration, because being frustrated means you care about something. And if you're frustrated with how your work is looking at any given point, that's evolution, right? Like, evolution only happens through what is that? Tragedy? No, what's the word I'm looking for? Adversity. So and evolution only happens through that. So if you're frustrated about the stuff that you're doing, that's a good thing. That's going to kind of spur you on to, like, I'm going to figure out how that goddamn blending mode works, or whatever. Man, it's and there's one other little tip, like, just now that I'm thinking back then, if you're making a piece of art to put on Instagram or to put on Twitter or whatever, give it a title. And that seems like a really simple thing. And the title doesn't need to be in the piece itself. But if you put out a piece of art and say just, hey, here's a thing I made, that's not as effective as here's bare teeth or whatever. Like, you come up with a name for it, and then it's like, it's a real thing. It's a piece of art. Like, come up with something like that. Not Untitled 4 or whatever, because I know that's hip to do, but no.
Well, no, it is, because that's a mental thought process of it's worthy enough to have a name. I present to you, this is what it's called. Yeah, definitely. Even if it's a goofy name, even if whatever, a name is a name. And that's the thing. You don't have to get hung up on it, but just by sort of giving it the prestige of having a title, it makes it bigger than it is, and it's all a confidence game. It's all a confidence trick to trick the audience and to trick yourself into thinking you can do it. You know, that's all this nonsense ever is, isn't it? And actually, following on from that point about sort of just doing it and just getting on with it, a new part of my talk is a slide that says there's that saying that when you're new to something and you perhaps get the software or the gear or the hardware, you know, people say all the gear, no idea. And which is true, I'm very guilty of that, but also I want to reframe it, and sort of, I think it's more all the gear, full of ideas, but nothing's clear. That's, to me, that's it. I've got the stuff and I have the ideas, but I have no clue how to navigate how, why, what's right, what's wrong, should I? And that's also a positive place. That's always a good place to be, because there are no rules. It doesn't matter, but it means it becomes overwhelming. So don't feel, again, just don't let anyone or anything make you feel like you're insignificant and that you can't just contribute. You know, you're going to do things wrong, but you've got to get it all wrong to get it right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know we're just talking in bloody in quotes now, but this is all it is, isn't it? Really, the creative life is talking in quotes, post-rationalizing them, and applying them to your own life.
Well, your whole nothing is clear thing, like, you rhymed your quote, so like, I'm okay. You got the one up on me for the rest of the night. Like, I can't rhyme. You hip hop kids can.
You bloody hip hop kids.
Yeah, damn it.
With your rapping and your crapping. So tell me about what's one of your favourite sort of side projects then, mate? What do you think is one of your, well, not even the biggest, but just that sort of means something to you?
The biggest side project that I did, or the one that, I guess, to phrase it like you did, the one that means the most to me is probably the Overdrive series. It's a series of prints that I did back in 2014. It's the wireframe palm tree with the broken sun in behind it. That was just 100% a passion project in 2014, but that led to me working with a lot of people in the synthwave industry, which is a music genre that I truly care about and something that really does inform my work. And that was the very first time. Now, I know that you're inspired by music, like in your visuals, a lot more than I am, especially up until that point. And I've never sat down and said, I'm going to listen to something and I'm going to design a piece of art based on the inspiration or whatever I feel. I've never done that. Like, music has always been over here and art has always been over here for me. But at that point, I listened to a bunch of synthwave. Yo, shout out to my buddies in Wolf Club who are down in the chat room right now. Speaking of synthwave, listening to a bunch of synthwave around 2014 and then sitting down and creating art based on that was extremely liberating. And, you know, to see that artwork that I created in those 4 or 5 prints kind of being proliferated throughout the very scene that inspired me to make them was incredible. Like, that was something that I don't know if I could ever match that feeling in here again in my career, because it was something that was extremely close to me and inspired me, but I ended up giving back in a way that I completely didn't expect. So that was really cool, and that's probably the one that means the most to me, like to this day. And it was all a passion project. I just did it because I wanted to do it. So how about you?
Well, that's another thing that's worth adding on to that is you never know. There's never plans or intentions behind this stuff, is it? It's you want to see it in the world, and then actually, you know, you sometimes have these connections. Sometimes it might just be you might get a nice email from someone, or other times you might meet another like-minded person. You know, you never can count on it. It's just these lovely little bonuses that, again, in our last session, we were encouraging people to sort of, you know, pursue public speaking, or not even if you want to speak in public, but going back through your catalogue of work and sort of learning and taking away things from it. It's not until you do that, it's not until you stop, take a bit of perspective and look back at your projects and connect the dots, you can go, oh, flipping heck, you know, I did that because I wanted to, and it led to, you know, whatever it may be. I think that's always a really nice thing. Is there's no downsides to pursuing this stuff, is there at all?
No. And like this year's the one I was talking about, that series. The one that's in now. This year, just to draw a direct connection, like I ended up designing this Scud cover it's a big ass comic book cover, but that was a direct result of this. You can see the similarity in style, right? So that would be a connection to like passion project, actually being hired by one of my favorite comic artists to do the cover for a comic that I grew up with. So that's a direct connection to, like, from a passion project to being hired. And
that was you were just you. I mean, it's also goes with saying that of using every tool out there to get your work out right. So and this is where we've also been mates, because every service that pops up, we've just been buddies on it, right? So it kind of started with Flickr, but obviously also, you know, there's MySpace, Behance, and then basically everything. It's always worth just and to be honest, I've actually just reactivated my Dribble account last week because I saw it had a redesign and I really like it and I like the simplicity, and it's like, yes, I'm going to get on that as well and just post some still images and because you never know where people are looking. So what was that guy's name again who hired you for the Scud book?
Rob Schraub.
Rob. I knew it was Rob. Yeah. So, you know, you don't know what platform these people are going to be on, and again, sometimes it might be someone who just enjoys what you do. It might also be someone who wants to commission what you do. Whatever. You gotta. There's billions of eyeballs in the world. You've got to try and, you know, get hold of them.
Yeah, that's right. You got to get a hold of them.
Yes, physically. but not at the minute. Don't travel. Don't travel. Stay away from other people's eyeballs right now. How about you, man? Like, is there any, like, what direct connection has, you know, one of your passion projects had to your career or somebody that you worked with? Oh man, I mean, there's kind of loads of bits and bobs. Just a shout out to Nick saying he's expecting more confetti cannons. We're sorry, Nick. Next time, I should say next time, this is going to be difficult. We promise we will reimburse you with confetti cannons. And also, it's worth saying, people who weren't here at the beginning, we'll be doing questions in about 15-20 minutes if anyone has any. So please just do put them in the thread and we'll catch up. If not, we'll carry on talking nonsense.
That's right.
What were we talking about? Passion projects. I mean, yeah, there's all sorts really. I mean, definitely there's common threads of my film work that were passion projects leading me into becoming a director at Aardman. And that was basically just building a body of work. So I made a rap video for a rapper called POS, who I adore, who's a rapper in the crew Doomtree and Shredders. And yeah, I made a music video for him, a tiny scale thing. I designed, directed, animated, and worked with a buddy of mine called Adam who shot it. And we shot it in a small lighting room cupboard in Aardman. It's literally is a store cupboard that was used for lighting stands. And we cleared it all out, filled it with some fake plants that we found, whacked a smoke machine in there, and we made a music video. I collaborated with a model maker friend of mine at Aardman, a good friend of mine called Jimmy Two Eggs, who made this amazing mask, and another friend of mine who was a dance teacher, because I used to be a dancer, and then I still dance now. And so a friend of mine who was a teacher, I convinced her to wear this awful, horrible, heavy Western mask. And so it was just a collaboration of a few friends, made this thing for a person I really adored, and that was a real good part of my show reel. It was a good body of work, but also it changed the opinion of what I could make at Aardman as well, because it was dark and it was weird and it was textured and gritty, and it didn't lead to any work because there wasn't really any need for that kind of stuff. But I'm really proud of it because it's also an aesthetic, a style of music that I love, that whether or not anything ever comes of it, I've never made any other rap videos, I'm glad it stands in my portfolio. But then there's a few smaller examples. So a job I did in the middle of last year was directing a commercial for IBM. And it was this commercial job, and it was a really fun job, and it was all futuristic cars racing along. And originally I proposed a 2D route, and I made this whole treatment, and a treatment is basically like a proposal document for a client, for you to share their vision. You as a director, you develop a treatment and share it with whoever would like to commission it. And so I did this 2D thing because they had a certain budget, and sent it over, and they said, hey, we really like this 2D style and this 2D proposal. Thing is, we didn't tell you we actually really wanted it to be 3D, and we've convinced a lot of our shareholders that it's going to be 3D. Oh, and I remember, and they were super, super nice. And I remember being on the call because they were in New York and we were in Bristol. And I remember saying, oh, so that 2D reel and treatment I made for you is really totally useless, yeah? And they went, it was really nice, but yeah, useless. But, and that would, everyone thought that the project would go away, but I went home, and not everyone at work knew that I did 3D stuff in my own time, that I play and I love cinema 4D. And so I thought, well, I've got an idea for a few 3D, I think I can take my 2D sensibility, very graphic, very stark, very minimal. I reckon I could do it in a 3D style. But because the budgets were kind of ever changing, so I'm just going to do it. So I went home at night and then basically did these sort of mock-up style frames using Cinema 4D. I grabbed a CG model of a car, so I didn't model it. I thought I'll quickly go and get a hypercar. I made this super cool neon-y thing, and then shared it the next morning. Well, first of all, with my colleagues at Aardman, and the producers went, "You did that?" Yeah, I do 3D at night. And they went, oh, we didn't know. It just goes to show, you think, and especially using social media and platforms and sharing all the time, you think, oh, I'm clear. People know exactly what I do. They don't. They really, really don't. They even if they do remember what you do a bit, it's very, very limited because people's memories are very, very short. So the fact that I would post some 3D work, every now, well, I guess I felt semi-regularly, not enough to change someone's perception, because people aren't watching what you do. They don't care. They really don't care.
Nobody
because
cares.
yeah, no one cares. People are busy. So I think the flip side of that is, don't feel bad about sort of sharing and offering up what you can do. Not only what do you do, what can you do? So yeah, and then long story short, I set those concepts to the client and they went, yes, exactly that. And I ended up going from a 2D small quick job to a huge big budget 3D directing gig. So and that was changing both my colleagues' opinion of what I could do and also a client as well. So for me
that's great, man. And that's crazy because like this loops back to what we were talking about, how like the most employable people. Like that job would have gone very differently if happened at all, if you just had decided to, I'm going to play video games tonight and not do this thing. Like that would have changed the outcome of that. And who knows what goddamn career path you would be on right now. Like, who knows,
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of some others. I mean, loads. I tend to, and I still love doing really quite quick passion projects. Again, for people who are, time is a factor for everyone, right? But I try and do sort of, if I can, just little passion projecty little things in an evening. What can I do in a night, one night, one night or 2 nights. I mean, as I've got older and I've trying to do maybe bigger things, I guess, it's sort of in terms of ambition, I still like to keep it to a week, because really that's Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, because on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, me and Jane don't work. We spend time together in the evenings, but Monday, Thursday, that's our routine for getting things done. Jane's in here in the workshop, and I'm upstairs in my den. So, so I think actually there's a real positive thing for doing smaller, quicker things, because you bulk out your portfolio more. It lets you learn quicker, fail faster, try a new style, try a new tool, try a new technique. Adobe's changing its flipping tool set every 5 minutes, so you've got to do something to bloody learn whether holding down shift scales properly or not. So staying, I love your metaphor of sharpening the sword. Actually, you do have to do that. And there's never a downside to it. If you're more proficient in a program, or I've also found, sorry to go on, but having conversations at work, I've really found a lot where you're talking about developing anything, and just having, if you're engaged in what's going on creatively, even if you're not making loads of work yourself, but you're just really immersing yourself in creative culture, you go, oh yeah, have you seen so-and-so did this? Because actually, what you're talking about is quite similar to this, but also it's also similar to that. If you make yourself invaluable as just an engaged, excited, interested sort of font of knowledge creatively, that's really useful too, right? Just
absolutely
sending people links going, oh, actually, I thought you might like that, because that's what we're talking about. It can be a 5-minute conversation with a colleague or with a schoolmate or a teacher or whatever it is. If you're just there, that's nice, right? That's just nice to be. It's fun. Yeah. Creative stuff is fun, isn't it?
Creativity is fun, Gav. You're right.
That's my tagline.
But you're right about like having those conversations with people and like trading back and forth. Like, have you seen this? Have you seen this? Or check out this art book or whatever. Because all of that stuff, if we're interested in it, it becomes part of our DNA as creative people. And it'll be influencing our artwork in a slight way subconsciously. We won't even realize it, And this is, I got a good segue into another topic through this, by the way.
Nice.
Very cleverly.
It's really smooth when you point out the segue. I really like it.
It makes it super not bumpy at all, right?
Seamless. Yeah.
So it becomes a part of your DNA, and you don't even realize that it's influencing the work that you're doing, right? It's not like you're intentionally copying this thing. It's just like I inherently draw like Mike Mignola because I drew like him 20 years ago. And this is where like one of the things you wanted to talk about was video games, which I want to get into that. But video games for me are still like mooching into my work, despite my not really having played video games to any degree in 20 years. So the stuff that I played when I was a teenager is still influencing the stuff that I do today. And I like my props, but like that kind of stuff.
Is that like, Killer Instinct? Yes.
Killer Instinct, man. Yeah, Super Nintendo. So this kind of stuff, like you just look at that style and you hold that up to some of the artwork I do. It might not be like cheesy old 3D, but the energy is there, right? And that's that sort of, the atmosphere and the visual language that kind of makes up who we are. So your DNA would be completely different from my DNA, but that would come through happening upon art books, conversations with people, like links. Now with social media, that's just all like on hyperdrive because we just are experiencing people's work all the time. And yeah, man, it's really cool. It's really interesting. And I would love to see a visual representation of every creative's DNA to see, like,
oh my God, yeah.
Like, how did Bogasm end up like doing the stuff that he's doing? And like, how is like Mary Lou Foray, like how does your stuff look like that? What is she interested in? Like that creative lineage, like, oh man, that is super interesting stuff, man.
Oh man, and what you said there as well is a big thing that blows my mind and keeps me excited. Is someone somewhere designed that Killer Instinct box, right?
Yeah.
They probably, I don't know. I mean, that would have been, for me, that would have been the coolest of cool, designing box art for Nintendo. But for them, that would have still been a job. That would have still been a creative outlet. They might not have been creatively satisfied at the time. They might be. They might have not been.
Yeah.
But everything that we're all making in our lives, hopefully, maybe, we don't know, 30 years time, there might be someone on an Instagram live session talking, holding up one of your Overdrive series, talking about how synthwave influenced them. You know,
yeah,
we all, and that's what I find exciting, we all have the possibility to make stuff like that impacts another human, that actually it imprints on them when they're young or in a formative part of their career. That's bloody amazing. Well, and we have no control over that.
Nope,
absolutely no control. But it's also, I think I try and use it as a positive and just think, you know, when you're down on yourself, that always happens. We're always frustrated in what we do. You know, I think it's nice to think, well, I don't know, even if you don't say it out loud, but think, I could make something that someone else likes and remembers. You know, what an honor it would be. And that's never that, you know, you can't have that as your driving force. Because you might lead yourself down a path. But what a lovely sort of side byproduct almost of that happening.
Yeah, and it's something that again, you can't aim at. It's like you can't make a viral video. It just happens organically, right? So two of the things. Number one, like you said, you can't aim at influencing somebody and then they show your art to somebody else. But B, and the sore spot is, like, you'll never know. Like, we'll never know if that interaction ever happens. You know, like. But that's a part of it, man. It's just you got to take the first step and just put stuff out into the world, and you know, and let it live the way it's going to live. You know.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I just think it's so. Yeah. I just think it's so. It's just such an honor. It's that weird, indescribable, ethereal sort of intangibility of creativity that's just nice. Because sometimes you're always looking for answers of what you do next and how this and how that, and sometimes it's just nice. Now I'm getting all very hippie-ish, but it's just nice to be, you know, just be. And actually, oh, what are you gonna say?
I was just gonna piggyback on something that you said. We should hunt down the people that designed these damn things, right? Like the famous box art painters and stuff. Everybody kind of knows who they are, but who are the people that were outputting like the digital, like the 3D in this era? Like, I want to talk to them, right? Because they'd be 10 years older than us or something. Like,
probably, yeah. Because you don't know. I'd be fascinated to hear where they were at in their career when they were doing that. Where they're young, where they're older. But, like you say, that was kind of cutting edge stuff.
Stuff is put it kindly.
but to link it, I suppose we'll go to questions in a minute, but I guess just to link it back to, I guess, why we were talking about side projects being in the era that we're in now of the coronavirus and of staying at home. Stay at home, everyone stay at home, don't go out.
Yeah, that's right.
Going forwards, it feels like things are going to have to change. I mean, how not to make it scary, because we always want to keep things positive, right? But if you thought about that, how that's going to influence what you're doing in your work / side projects in terms of generating revenue, perhaps, or or are you not there yet? You're like you're just going to do what you do, or have you thought about sort of different ways to kind of monetize a creative career in the new world order?
Yeah, dude. Like, I have been thinking about that, and it is unnerving, because we're in uncharted territory right now with all this unprecedented strangeness happening out there. But, dude, the YouTube channel is a direct reaction to that for me anyway. Like I already had the YouTube channel, I had the legs built underneath it, and it was a vehicle already. So I'm just like, okay, I'm just going to keep doing these and try to have a video every week. But you know, when this stuff went down, we got to look. I mean, we're already looking at the internet, but we got to seriously look at the internet as like this is our connection point now. You know, like at least in the given moment it is. I don't know. We might get back to normal sometime soon, hopefully. But you know, we got to start looking at like what are other ways of getting our content out there.
Oh, he's gone. Oh, he's paused.
Weird.
Oh, what happened there?
Oh, are you there?
Illuminati,
Oh,
Illuminati, mate. I don't like you talking about the New World Order.
Did that just happen? Can you hear me? Can you
I
hear
can hear you. We can't see you. You're
Oh,
frozen
what the hell?
in a
You know what
very.
happened? You know what happened? The terms and conditions popped up in my Instagram.
What?
No, like this is some weird Illuminati stuff happening. You're right. Like it popped up and I was like, what? And I hit OK, and now I'm paused.
Oh man.
What the hell, man?
Shall I invite you back in?
Yeah, do that. I'm gonna hit my X button and see if it works, and then I'll try to send you another request. All right, man. Hopefully it works.
Thanks for sticking with us, guys. Oh, Signal Noise has left. It's just me and you guys now. You're talking about the Illuminati. Scary stuff. Thank you for all your questions, by the way. We're going to get to them in a minute. So any Tom says no, don't get him back in. Signal Noise sent a request to be in your video. Nah, mate. Go live with Signal Noise. Let's see if he's back. The bot tagged a keyword.
Am I back?
Hey, there we go.
All right. I even moved my lights, so now. All right. So yeah, that was super weird, man.
I'm sorry. What were you saying? So let's go with what you were saying, and then should we go for some questions?
Yeah. We can do questions. Yeah, let's do it.
Oh, but didn't you want to finish what you were saying?
Yeah. What the hell was I saying? Oh yeah, like
the New World Order.
I've been trying to change how I look at work in terms of just trying to use the internet as much as I can, more so than I was before, which sounds crazy. I'm just trying to use it in a different way. But one of the big perils or one of the big obstacles that I'm going to have to deal with is staying the hell away from Tom Muller, who's down in the chat room right now, because this is the second time today he's brought up Sega, and I'm not happy about this. Now, Gav, you're a Sega guy, but
Tom is such a troll.
Right,
let's scroll back then, shall we?
Yeah, dude.
Scroll. Thank you for all your questions, by the way, and thank you very much for tuning in. You're all very kind.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thanks a lot, gang. It's a bigger numbers than last time. It's a bigger gang.
Oh, crew, gang. Let's have a look-see. Oh, hello, everyone. Sorry, bear with us.
I think.
Oh, thanks for joining in. I love his white hair. Oh, my God. Love heart. I love his white hair, too. I mean, I'm jealous. I don't have any, let alone white hair.
Well, thank you.
Proclaim says beautiful beards. Thank you very much. Oh, you got... Pure. Adam Fairbank says, what's cooking in the slow cooker? I think this thing is, my wife will tell me if this is wrong. I think it's called a pickle. And she boils bonnies. I don't know.
Wow.
It's something to do with silver. It doesn't oxidize. I don't know. If she's watching, she'll be like, "Oh my God, you're such a moron." Anyway,
so your wife has a lab that's out in the yard, and I'm pretty sure I saw that thing on an episode of Breaking Bad. Are you sure she's making jewelry?
That's how we get by. That's how we make money.
Yeah, just out there cooking meth.
Weird chemical.
Oh boy.
Hector, love you guys. We love you too. Proclaim love spreadsheets.
Proclaim.
Oh, this is nice. This is nice. Sorry.
Robots with ray guns.
Oh, Flo's got a question. Hello, Flo. Do you want to read the question out, James? Can you see it?
Well, you scrolled right up to the top, did you?
I did. Sorry, I went right back to the top.
One sec. Yeah, you go ahead, man. I'm going to see if I can find it.
So, hello, I'm Flo. Hello, Flo. Says, what do you think about finding a new passion when you're practicing on a regular job? And Joey says, Flo says, for me, it's frightening. We'll keep it quick because we could go into this forever, but I think it is going to be frightening. It's going to be really frightening trying to find a passion and trying to find something that you're engaged in and deciding what to do to like which passion to pick and which one to decide I'm going to invest my time and energy in it. I think just have a low hanging fruit. I think just do small bits. Just you'll soon know if something's really piquing your interest, and I guess try smaller projects or smaller ideas in lots of different ways, and then start doing it rather than sort of like placing all your chips on one thing, because then you might pursue it and realize you don't enjoy it and it's not where your heart lies, and then you feel like it's a bit of a big step back. But I guess try smaller things. How about you, James?
Right.
What do you think?
Yeah, when it comes to I'm not actively seeking interest in other stuff, but I'm always open to them organically, I suppose. Like, Gav, you're way better at that because you got your musical interests, you got your 3D interests, your animation and that sort of thing. But I stick to my path. I'm not strict about it at all. But if something piques my interest, I'm like, yeah, I might want to try something like that. I don't swing too wildly. Like, I'm not going to start designing stuff with like blood and guts in it and that kind of stuff. But if I get interested in like, oh, that's a chrome skull or something, like I'll try to maybe turn my stuff in that direction a little bit. So if you look at my trajectory over the years in terms of style, it's kind of on the same lineage, but it kind of meanders a little bit. So that's what I kind of do. So I'm not so much on like looking for something else to be passionate about that's wildly different than what I'm already interested in, because I know what I like to make. And if I can sprinkle a new ingredient in there every now and then, I'm going to treat it that way. So yeah, more organic.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. I realised that I get obsessed with the typeface or with the colour palette, and I use it for everything. And I've realised that I've come to learn that that's okay. That's all right.
Yeah.
Because you learn to apply that tool or that style or that colour in different ways, and then it'll blur into another thing, and like you say, meander. I think that's a really nice thing. Richard T. Pay says, how do you balance pure enthusiasm with being taken seriously? Do they go hand in hand, or do you have to dial them up and down depending on the situation? Why don't you go, James?
Okay, I was scrolling. So how do you balance pure enthusiasm with being taken seriously? Right, that's good. Good question. Do they go hand in hand, or do you have to dial them up and down depending on the situation? Right. I honestly, Richard, I don't put too much thought into it. I just kind of like, and I don't know, I won't speak for you, Gav, obviously, because you're here and you can speak for yourself. Don't know what I'm talking about. So, I kind of don't think about it too much, Richard, because I'm always kind of me. I'm always kind of, I always kind of act the same. Like, this is how I would act if I were in a meeting. This is how I act if I'm into something or whatever. I don't know. It's, that's a tough question, man.
It's a great question.
Yeah, and I kind of don't. I think the people that I like the most in this industry are the people that are comfortable just being themselves, and that's ultimately the way that I kind of operate too. Like, if I'm enthusiastic about something, I'm pretty much consistent across the board. So, yeah, if people don't take me seriously, probably don't want to work with them. I don't know. I don't know. What about you, Gav?
Yeah, funnily enough, actually, I think I am definitely more on the spectrum of dialing up and dialing down, and I've only really realised that in recent years, really, as I get older, that I found that I'm proud of being enthusiastic, and I must be very irritating to most people most of the time, but I'm really proud of just really giving a crap, and actually I've found that I dial it up. Really in meetings, in collaborations, I want people to buy into me and my energy, and especially if it's a project I believe in and that I want to get it off the ground or whatever it is. I really like trying to be passionate about things and trying to be positive about things, because I want to work with that kind of person too. And I think it came from just analyzing all the different people that you interact with in your life, and just looking at all the different bits and thinking, I want to take that, like when you copy someone's style, you end up taking from everyone. I kind of do the same in personality traits, really, and just think, I want to be enthusiastic, but also I want to be well balanced, and I want to be fair, and and all of those things. So yeah, but then I feel like I basically on the metaphor of dialing up and down, I feel like I basically tweak the ingredients all the time. I'm always me, but actually I'm deciding a little bit more of the enthusiasm, a little bit less silliness, whatever it is, depending on the situation. So always the same recipe, different mixtures of ingredients, I would say.
Right. Yeah, good answer. There's an extra feature I was watching on the Iron Giant DVD one time, and it was, I don't know if it was Brad Bird or one of the people that were operating like the storyboard thing, and they were trying to convey the energy in every scene. So they're walking through the entire movie and they're like acting it out and yelling and stuff. Like I can see, like, you work at Aardman Animation, and I'm sure that's a strength that you must have, where if you're in front of a bunch of people and you're trying to convey an idea, like let's say your Greenpeace movie, like you would act out and you would do these voices and you would like, that must be something that, dialing up and down the enthusiasm is a definite strength, especially in the job that you do, right?
I think so. And I think it's also worth on the flip side, and we covered this last time as well, about it's not all about extroverts. You don't have to be an extrovert to get anywhere. It's an introvert should just as much and will just as much have every opportunity. It's about finding how you best sort of represent your own voice and how you get that out there. But it is difficult because when people are loud and talking, it's very hard to sort of be heard in that room. And I guess that's a skill in itself of learning how to contribute when you might not be the loudest voice. But I think in those times, that's a good sign of a good mediator or host, that say you have a group of people that will allow everyone the chance to speak, and kind of a good leader maybe, and again, a good host will identify, well, I know that person's got a great contribution, but they're not as loud as someone else, so they will clear the floor and allow that person to speak. So again, that's all about collaboration, isn't it? That's right. Yeah. If we all look at our own personality types and try and sort of collaborate and fit together more, then that will just that basically will mean that it isn't just people who shout the loudest. It's about everyone that contributes. Right. Yeah. Good answer, man. Yeah. Hello, I'm Flo, says, question for you, Gav. How did you manage to get your creative energy when you became a dad? I will be a dad in August. Congratulations. Hey, congrats, Flo. It's huge. And I'm afraid I will not be able to have the time for creative thinking. In the spirit of having a kid, I'm going to keep this very short because that is how it works, and we've only got 6 minutes left. But you basically I found I've never been more productive, and I've never been more happy in my entire life since having a family. And that just meant that I just was really focused on each and every facet of my time, because I think you end up being multiple personalities. You become a partner / a husband, you become a father, you become a colleague, you become a brother, you become all these things, and you basically have to divvy up your time for those different things, and so you end up being actually really hyper focused, and what previously might take you a whole week to do, you actually get done in 2 hours, because you're like, I don't have the time to muck about. The baby's going to wake up in an hour, so I need to get on it. So Flo particularly, if people don't know Flo is a wonderful human being who does everything. He's a wonderful creator of all different mediums, and if anyone is going to be killing it, mate, it's you. So please don't worry, just have faith in, put all your energy in being an amazing partner to your partner and your little baby. Everything else will slot in, and you will find the time, mate. You will make the time. So I believe in you. Flo. Oh, great question from Derek Wise. You should field this one first, James. Who is your guy's favourite undiscovered artist you would like to promote? Oh man, shouts to Derek. I know Derek through the dribbles. What's up, man? Undiscovered artist. Jeez, that's a tough one, man. I mean, the easy answer for me is right here over my shoulder. Like the dude that runs 8-Bit Zombie. Like, he's an artist and he does merchandise and stuff. And like this, yes, this is I brought this up last time, but this is an action figure, yes, but it is also a piece of art, because this whole package has to be put together. So 8-Bit Zombie comes to mind just because of that. But that's a hard question, like off the top of my head. Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? I'll give a shout out to Mizukat right now. She is, I can't remember where she is from, Northern Europe. I want to say like Norway or the Netherlands, Poland. Sorry, Miz, if I'm screwing up where you're from, but she does, number one, like anime style illustrations. She's super good. She does a lot of work in the synthwave field, and she does custom Game Boy designs.
So she gets like the molds like printed, and she does like glitter plastic and paints them and everything. And she does like, there's a huge scene that does like custom modified Game Boys, and she does a lot of that. So Mizu Cat, oh man, I'm gonna blank on her name, but I think it's MizuCat1 on Instagram. But look her up, and you'll know exactly who she is when you see her work. She's awesome.
Awesome. I'll be really quick. It's so hard to pick, so I'm just going to pick 3 people who are just awesome, who are just awesome at the minute. Tina Tooley, check her out. She's amazing, graphic designer, fellow speaker. Stu Ballinger, otherwise goes by the name of Astronauty, also killing it. And frameandcolor.de. Go and check out his website. Gorgeous, nice. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful work.
Nice.
And I think we've covered all the questions.
Did we?
And we've got 3 minutes left. Asking what his favourite Sega game is.
Oh, is that Tom again?
That is Tom. Yeah.
God, how do we kick people out of the chat room?
I think we might have gone. Thank you so much to everyone for everyone's question.
Hey, we got one here from Wolf Club, man. My dude's in Wolf Club. Do you guys have a rock solid routine? Is it something you've worked on, or do you find it a battle? I'm assuming that would be like an art routine or a daily routine. I don't really know. I would say, okay, I'll field this one first. In terms of a creative routine, sort of, but there's always room for it to meander and shape depending on the task at hand, and depending on what I want to illustrate on any given day, and if it's for myself or a client. So yeah, the routine of the process is pretty flexible, but I know how to do my stuff at this point, and yeah, I know how to get from point A to point B. How about you?
I was just about to say, I think we're going to be cut off. So if anyone has any questions that they haven't answered, if people won't mind sticking around, we'll end this session, then we'll start a new one, and we can then properly get into those questions if everyone's up for it. So anyone that hasn't had a question answered, because I've just found that we had some lovely ones right at the end that we haven't done. So we're going to log off now, and then we'll come back on. And then if you could write your same questions again, that'd be awesome, because it's lovely and it's a privilege to be able to talk about this stuff.
Absolutely.
Mr. Signal Noise would agree. So let's hit end, and then we'll see you in a minute. Thanks, everyone. See you in a sec.
Right. Peace. Peace.
Here he is. Thanks for coming back, everyone. Thank you for people joining the chat again.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyone else that has questions that we didn't answer, please do, if you won't mind, writing them back in the chat again, and we will properly get to them. So whilst people write their questions, if they do have any, mate, talking of side projects, what's coming up? What you got? Anything you can tell us about? Anything that you're working on, developing, going forwards?
Yeah, like issue number 3 of this sucker is supposed to be done now, but everything happened on Earth, so that's what I'm trying to put together right now, is issue 3 of that, and just keeping up with the YouTube channel, man. So I'm trying to come up with different projects that I can record and kind of narrate the bulk of the creative process, and just trying to put my time and effort into that. Really, yeah. How about you, man?
Do you enjoy it? Do you enjoy doing the YouTube stuff? Is it how does it compare with doing the broadcast streams that you used to do on Twitch?
Yeah. I like the YouTube version is better because I feel like I have a little bit more control over it, and it takes, weirdly, it feels like less effort to do the YouTube one. I record a bunch of stuff, I edit it all, and I enjoy every single step of the process. Doing something live, I have to prepare like for 3 hours to do a 2-hour stream. So it was really taxing. There was a lot of gear to do it. It didn't really work all that well. But I have more control over what I put on YouTube now. So it's just a more enjoyable process, and it's a more enjoyable product at the end of the day. And a lot more people know what YouTube is. It was amazing how many people didn't even know what Twitch was. When I was doing it, so.
Really? Wow. Yeah. I suppose it's I mean, we were talking about this when you were doing it, that you felt like actually the creative space is could really do with it, could really take advantage of it. And I was really tempted when you were telling me about it, but I think just the practicalities of having a day job, I've only got finite time in the evenings once I get home and do bedtime and bath time. So yeah, it just didn't work out. But I love what I loved about yours is you had a community, and this is what I really like about us doing the Instagram live. And then also, you've got a Discord server, the Signal Noise Discord server. You guys should check that out. And inspired by James, I started one this week as well. And it was a reaction to trying to have a bit of a happy, positive space whilst, I mean, gestures to everything, whilst everything is happening. To sort of have a rolling, because Discord is predominantly, well, I use it as text chat. It's kind of like the good old days of the internet. So whilst people are at home working from home, it's a bit of a place where everyone can just chat, but basically the emphasis on the happy place, just trying to keep it positive and give a bit of, just a bit of chatter as people are working. So, but yeah, I think this is what I love, and this is again what we loved about Flickr, I guess, wasn't it? Just having community.
Absolutely, man. And I think it means more now than it ever has, now that we're all kind of isolated and at home in our silos. So, this kind of stuff counts. And it's great to see the creative community doing more of it. Mike Montero just started doing his quarantine book club. He had Draplin on, I think, yesterday or something. Yeah. So a lot more people are starting to do that, which is great. And it might lead to, we don't know where this is going to lead. There could be a lot of positive effects that are going to be from creative people, like everybody hanging out here. What's that going to mean for the next 5-10 years? This could change how we operate. That could be cool.
It will. I think it will. I feel like it can't fail to really. It can't help but fail to show actually in the positives how many people are doing things like Instagram Live, who are sharing their pressures, who are just talking, using the tools more now than ever because we have to, and that's really nice. It just is a way to engage with people and to have a voice, isn't it? And just to feel like a conversation, just because you might not have people around you, but if you can hear voice, it's like turning the radio on, isn't it? It's basically you just get to choose what radio station you're on.
Absolutely, man.
Should we go back to the top and start with some questions then? So
let's do it.
To recap for anyone that's just joined us, thank you so much again. So we're gonna now, we've got a bit of time to actually go through questions rather than trying to rush it in 15 minutes.
Because we messed up our time again.
No, we get more. Oh, here we go. There's one for you, James, from David.
Okay. Oh, it's David. Yeah, what's up, man? James, how has moving to Newcastle changed things for you? Have you started saying like at the end of every sentence yet? No, I haven't really started that like.
Leak?
No, it's been great, Dave. Thanks, man. What I've noticed about moving to the UK prior to the stuff that's happening is I have access to every single kind of merch that I want to do in a very small area of land space, because Canada's super big, and to get like print on demand and shipped in 2 days is unheard of, because it's just the place is too big and it would be too expensive. So having access to everything over here through like awesome merch and Vistaprint and all of these places, Sticker Wrap, where I get all these this stuff printed, and I can get it like design it, sent, printed, and in my hands in 3 days. Like that changes how I've done all of my merch. So that was a huge step, man. In terms of the city, it's been great. But that's been a big thing. Yeah, making merch. Yeah, it's good. Thanks, Dave. Good seeing you, man.
Do you remember when like all you'd want is some die cut stickers, and die cut stickers were basically you'd have to take out a mortgage and you'd have to have like 8 million printed. Oh man, I remember making stuff, getting merch and silly things was so expensive and so difficult. I loved it. I mean, actually going forwards, there's obviously, and rightly so, there needs to be a huge look at sustainable materials, and we shouldn't just make stuff. We have to be conscious of that stuff. So it's almost sort of like finally we get to a point where things are, of course, are affordable, and we're like, yeah, let's make all the stuff. But we now need to go, we shouldn't make the stuff. There's too much stuff in the world. It needs to be sustainable. Don't make stuff.
Don't make stuff, yeah. Unless it's dope stickers. I like dope stickers.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Thanks, David.
Oh, next one. Panda Photography 24. Thank you for the question. Have you ever had a creative dump? And how do you tackle it? Do you mean dump or slump? I mean both are, but it's the same question, isn't it? Shall I go? Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have a creative slump/dump all the time, regularly on a weekly basis, really. I do have, I have the general ups and downs, waves that I think hopefully everyone has, of doubting yourself, doubting your skills. Can I do it? But then I definitely have longer bouts where I just, I'm not feeling it and I feel frustrated. And I think you have to ride the wave. I think you have to just listen to yourself and go, well, I'm really not feeling it. I'm clearly not feeling it, and don't try and force it if you can get away with it. You know, we all have to be, if you're in a creative career, then you have to be creative, you have to make it, and that's okay. You've got to do your best and you've got to power through. But in terms of it then spilling out into maybe doing your things in your own time, that's fine. You know, you'll make up the time. You'll then find that maybe 3 months pass and you're not, and you've not been interested in anything, and you've felt in a funk, and then all of a sudden you'll have an idea, and then you'll have done 3 months worth of work in 3 weeks, you know, because you'll be so excited, and you'll do it. So I think just be kind to yourself and listen to what you're telling yourself, really. And if you're not feeling it, that's fine. Go and play Switch. Go and play Animal Crossing. You know, take some time out, and then where you can. That's obviously a very idealistic view of it. That's very simplistic. But you know, your own situation is your own situation. Just be kind, I guess. What do you think, James?
Yeah, that's I'd mirror your exact answer, man. Like, I'm the same way. Like, it goes like this. You know, you're gonna have your highs and your lows. I've always operated under the notion of like not believing in creative block. Like, I don't believe in it. I do always believe that if you have a problem being creative or getting something out of your head and onto the page, it's normally because you're distracted or you're tired, or there's something else going on in your life that's taking you out of that creative space in your head. So it's not so much creative block. I think it's a term that we've made up, and it causes anxiety in people, and it's like the monster under the bed. If you don't believe in it, it's not there. But I've had highs and lows too, and normally the lows I can equate, and it's like you said, it's listening to yourself and figuring out, like, am I tired? Am I frustrated? Am I, annoyed by something? Is there something else in my life going on that's taking me out of that space? And 100% of the time with myself anyway, it's something like that. So I need to address something else, get more sleep, call that person and sort out whatever's bugging me, like, or do my best to try to do that. And try to get back into that creative space. And it always sort of works for me anyway. So it's always something else. Distraction. That's the enemy.
Nice.
Yeah. Panda, thank you very much for the question.
Yeah, thank you. What's next?
Okay, we got one from Sean Date. I think this is
Sean Date.
Yeah, I've been doing 3D CAD for
CAD.
years. Oh, thank you.
It's like cat, but with a D.
Right. Thank you for that. For years, but would like to get into more creative work. Do you think my skills will be translatable to the creative? Are we still joking about this? Oh my God. This is my tag team partner, folks. This is the guy that the WWF paired me up with.
It's a good job you're handsome, isn't it?
Oh man.
Anyway, sorry, I totally ruined Sean's question. Sorry. So, I've been doing 3D CAD for years, but would like to get more into creative work. Do you think my skills will be transferable to the creative industry?
Gav, I don't know what CAD actually is. So do you want to take this one? Do you know?
Yeah, CAD is, and I probably might get the definition wrong. CAD is sort of, it's used a lot in engineering and construction and architecture. It's proper 3D modeling, in the sense of a CAD file can then be used with a milling machine or a CNC machine to. It's 3D modeling. It's used then to make real physical things. That's probably might be totally false, but that's what I led to believe. But yeah, I would say definitely that skill set, because also that might give you a unique skill set as well, because it totally depends what roles you're then looking to get into. If you have a background in CAD, then I'm a firm believer in, you don't have to have these things that are properly connected. Actually, these small pockets of knowledge, or big pockets of knowledge, if that's where you've worked for years, then are going to pay dividends, really, because you'll have a different way of thinking to someone else. And I just think that's a positive, really, because you'll have an understanding. The practical skills of using CAD is one thing, but the fundamentals of how you I don't know, look at a problem will be, will give you a different way. So I think use it as a positive. And it might not feel that way when you're applying for roles or you're trying to look what's out there and you aren't seeing 3D CAD being listed, then I totally understand that will be disheartening. But, I think if you can get your foot in the door and just start having conversations with people, just, even if it's just for you yourself, just think, no, I've got that knowledge, I know stuff, it's good. It's positive to just take a bit of time and be confident and think, I know some things. So, yeah. But what do you think, James? I think any discipline is just being engaged and being in every area is always going to help, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for like specifically for CAD, this is above my pay grade, I think. But I think like 3D printing. I mean, wouldn't that be like a use for something like that? I don't know if that's specifically the creative industry that you're talking about, but if that's your thing, like, man, there's always use for 3D modeling or 3D execution in our industry, and it's just getting more and more, right? So maybe if you're into CAD, start playing around with Cinema 4D or Blender or something like that, and try to like see if you can kind of parse those skills or like vet them over to something else. And because if creativity's in your blood, and you're gonna find a way to make that work. So just try some different tools that play on your skills and see where it goes.
I think it's also that nice bit when it clicks, when you're in a new software or program and you're just like, I just don't get it, and it clicks because you've made the mental connection. You go, oh, that is like that thing I know, and you suddenly have a metaphor for it because of something else that you've used. That's really nice because you suddenly can see it. I think that's the thing, when you're new to this stuff or you're trying to change, it feels all a bit murky and muddy, doesn't it? And then when you have that sort of bit of clarity, it's a lovely feeling. It's really nice.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks for the question, Sean.
Thank you, Sean. A genuine question here from Mr. Muller, and it's not about Sabre. He says, okay, question for both. What do you do if you start feeling too comfortable with a certain type of work? Good question.
Oh, yeah, I'm the guy to ask about that.
It's a really subtle troll from Tom.
When I'm feeling too comfortable with a certain type of work, I don't move. I stay exactly where I am.
But you've always changed mediums, though, right, James? You've always, you have a creative voice and style, but what you apply that to is wildly different. I mean, your stuff with Charles of the Blood Dragon, working on a video game, that's massive.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I mean, thanks for the question, Tom. That is a good one. Like, I've always felt like, I think it's again that meandering thing and trying to be organic about your process and about your trajectory. So I become interested in other things, and I inevitably start going toward that. So I guess that might be, if I go towards something else, it's because I'm a bit too comfortable with where I'm at creatively and the kind of work that I'm doing. So but everything is kind of a step. I don't make any drastic changes with the kind of work that I do because I enjoy the kind of work that I do. So but that is something that, creative people should never be comfortable with what they're doing. They should be comfortable with, they're confident with their skills and that sort of thing. But becoming comfortable with where we are as creative people, to me, that means complacency. And that also means not moving. It means just staying in the same place. So it's that whole stay curious kind of an idea.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. I think I'm the same. I think I get obsessed with styles or looks, and then I always feel like I have a bit of a reaction to it and then want to try something different. And sometimes that is, I like having a varied portfolio. As we spoke about last week, I feel like I have a voice, but not a particular style. Right. And I like flip-flopping between, and sometimes that is a medium. Sometimes I'll have done a lot of 2D After Effects work if it's moving image, and then I want to do something live action or stop frame. But then also visually in graphics, I'll jump from being vector type heavy to I'll go to use Cinema 4D, and so I like that. I like bouncing between. At the minute, my two passion project things, one is a proper 3D render, grisly, dark, gritty skulls and weird stuff, and the other thing is all bright coloured neon vectors. So, I quite like juggling them to sort of stay healthy, I guess, stay mentally healthy is juggling different projects. So yeah. Thanks, Tom. Great question.
Thanks, Tom. I like how as soon as some of these questions come up, I enjoy how different I know the answers are going to be between me and you. Like we come from the same place, but we just operate on completely different areas, which is it's cool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's ace.
Yeah.
A quick question from David, that's Seeker. Where can we find your Discord? So the Discord that I was mentioning in a previous chat is called The Happy Place. I don't know how to make it publicly searchable. I don't understand. I've tried looking for it, but I don't know. If you go onto my Twitter, which is at Jam Factory, or on my Instagram stories, I've linked it to there. So please do come and join. It's a place just for people to chat, text, and hang out. And then shall I just roll on to the next question from DBZ? Yeah. What is your best advice for a student looking for an internship who has enthusiasm but not a lot of work experience? Do you want to go, James, or shall I?
Yeah, I'll crack at it. But not a lot of work experience. Make a lot of stuff. That's kind of my go-to advice for somebody that's starting to get into the industry. Do what we were talking about at the beginning of this chat way back about personal projects and that sort of thing. Try to find time on your own to just create work, because like we said, the more that you do, the better that you're going to get. But if you're looking for an internship, you're going to make the cut if it looks like you're interested in the design field or the graphics field or whatever it is you do outside of just getting a job. That's going to be employable. So, don't just show a potential person that's taking you on as an internship the client work that you've done. Try to put in the stuff that you've done on your own time. And if you don't have any of that, time is now. Just start making some stuff and populate your portfolio with the kinds of things that you would like to do if you were hired by somebody to do work. So that's what I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I think in terms of practical work experience, I think if I was hiring someone as an internship, I wouldn't care if they hadn't been in a design studio before or a studio before. That kind of is irrelevant. That's the work experience, but you are the one that can be in control of your body of work. So if you've got the enthusiasm, absolutely, I think that's great. I think you'd be surprised the amount of people going for an internships who don't seem enthusiastic and seem a little jaded, which is personally baffling to me. And those people don't get opportunities because there's always another person more willing and more honest and focused that wants to be there. So please stay enthusiastic. That's ace. And don't worry about not having, catch-22, isn't it? You can't get your foot in the door if you haven't already had your foot in the door. So just make some work, and it doesn't have to be epic and polished. People expect that. It's depending on what, as a student, we're not looking for finished, polished pieces of majestic work. That will come in time. Don't worry about that. It is about showing you really want to be there in the industry and you just enjoying yourself. Don't make the Sistine Chapel, just make some stuff and get it out there. So good luck DBZ.
Yeah, good advice, man.
Do you want to scroll and take the next one, James?
Yeah.
Thank you so much as well. There's so many lovely things that you guys are saying in between it all as well, so thank you very much.
Yeah. Oh, we got one from Miguel Garcia Entralgo. I'm going to butcher your name. I apologize, Miguel. Do you guys recommend a book to learn graphic design or poster design?
It's got to be Draplin's, isn't it? Surely.
Oh, I got his right here. Yeah. Let me get one that's my favorite. Oh no, it's at the office. Crap.
Don't go out. Whatever you do.
Oh, crap. Anyway, it's called oh man, is it seriously at the office? I blew it. Crap.
Well, I would give Aaron Draplin's book. What is Draplin's book called? I mean, it's a big, huge orange book filled with graphics.
Pretty much everything. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and also Draplin's, that book is filled with Aaron Draplin's story as well. It's not only is it full of graphics, it's his story told in his very unique, very Draplin way. It'll really make you laugh and it'll really inspire you because he talks about his story and his progress.
Yeah.
There's one.
I do have one actually. Poster design was a part of it. Part of that question. One sec. Where the hell is it? This one. Yeah, there we go. That sucker right there. The Art of True Shoes in.
Yeah.
So this one, and the reason I bring up this book for poster design is because, so let me get a good page. Yeah, there we go. All of his concept designs for his posters are in here too. So this is Indiana Jones. Like, he did a lot of Indiana Jones work, and all of his the concepts are annoyingly beautiful, but they're all in there too. And this shows like a lot of the creative process behind a master of poster design. And he's not just about getting the likeness and making it look dope. He leaves room for the logo. He considers like the poses and the idea and the concept and the emotion that the poster is supposed to elicit. So if you're looking at poster design, you can do far, far worse than getting the art of Drew Struzan. Very good.
Absolutely. Maybe. Oh, do you know what we should do? Maybe next one. Maybe we'll like each have some books and some props of like awesome stuff that we love. That's a great question, Miguel, and that could spawn something, because we've both got. It's so hard when someone says, "Oh, what's your favourite?" You go, you can only remember the thing you last looked at 30 seconds ago.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, next time let's have like a little bit of it'll be like a show and tell. Yes.
Yeah, dude, I'm standing in my archive, so let's do it.
Awesome. Okay, let's definitely do that next time.
Yeah.
Awesome. Here we go. Rob asks, how are you keeping the random creative office chat going with co-workers now we're all working from home? I'll go first, maybe. So for me at work, majority of us are using Slack. So there's a lot of us on there. We're using Zoom to do daily stand-ups, and I'm sure lots of people do stand-ups, but if you're not familiar with what a stand-up is, I find it really useful. Basically, you in a team or you on a project, you each stand up at the start of every day, and it's called a stand-up because you physically stand. Obviously, not on a video chat, you don't, but the idea is because you're standing, you make it quick. If you sit down, it becomes a meeting. If you stand up, it's quick. And you basically said what you did yesterday, and then what you're going to do today, and if you have any blockers, because then you can quite quickly, if you're like, oh, the blocker is I haven't had the design from James, and then James in the stand-up will go, oh yeah, I was working on the design today, you'll expect it. You know, it's really good. So we do virtual stand-ups on Zoom, and then that's why I set up this Discord as well, just for people not in my urban space, but also just for me, for my mental health. I like talking to people, I like being around. I also love being in my office working, but you know, virtual chat I find it easy to filter out. So when I need to, I'm focused, and then just when you lean back, have a cup of tea, you know, chat, and then carry on. I find it quite easy to switch between. It's not sort of, I don't find it an interruption because I've chosen for it to be there, and I you know, it's just text on a screen. I can choose to ignore it. So that's how I'm getting by, and just listening to music all the time. It's brilliant. How about you, James?
Well, I don't have coworkers.
It's you and in your brain.
It's just me and Naomi. Yeah, we're both like independents. But no, in terms of the random creative chat, honestly, Rob, this is it. Like this is the best. Like, other than talking to Naomi, which we have like wonderful creative chats here too. But to talk to a big group of people, to hang out with Gav, this is my random creative office chat. This is what, you know, me and Gav we were talking about this like last week. Like, we need this. We need this to keep the fuel tanks full, right? Like, yeah. So this is what I'm doing, Rob. So you're contributing to this by interacting and throwing us questions, and we greatly appreciate it. Like, this is it for me, man. Like, I love this, and I want to keep doing this, man. This is cool.
Yeah, boy. Nice. Thanks, Rob. Great question. Do you want to take the next one, mate?
Yeah, sure. Sarah Foley, what's up, Sarah? How did you guys define your individual creative style? How did you guys define it? You want to crack at that?
Oh wow, yeah. I mean, I think my answer might be quite shorter because we've talked about this before, but yeah, I don't feel like I have a visual style per se. I feel like I've identified I have a voice. I have a creative voice, and that is many things, I guess. It's kind of like everyone's voice. It changes tone and it changes meaning and inflection depending on the situation. I guess that's why it's a voice. And I guess they're like common things that I'm looking for. You know, I want to make things that is warm and charming and fun and silly and bright and energetic. And then I'm sort of learning to just find the style that best suits what I want to, what the emotion that I want to elicit. But that's just taken decades. I've been I started my first job when I was 17, and I'm 37 now. You know, so it's 20 years, and I feel like I'm just starting to understand what my voice is. And in terms of defining, I guess I've tried to define it by me deciding what passion projects I want to take, and that's me taking control of where I want to go creatively. But then in my day job, you know, I've just tried to be vocal in the kind of work that I want to do, and to try and take how I define what my creative career could be into my own hands, really. But it just takes a very, very long time. And yeah, you know, if it's taken 20 years to get this far, I think it's a lifetime pursuit. You just have to do everything that you can in your power to do it, really, and notice when you feel like, oh, actually I'm not happy, maybe it's because I'm doing the kind of work I actually don't want to be doing, and then trying to adjust that. Yeah,
good answer, man. Yeah, for me it's a combination of three things, and they're very sort of specific. It's a complicated idea to get your head around developing a creative style, but for me it's a combination of things that I'm inherently interested in. It's the willingness to push yourself and explore and experiment with tools, with interest and style and that kind of thing. And it's accidents that happen along the way. So with those three things, if one of those things wasn't part of my equation, I never would have figured out, you know, what kind of style I wanted to operate in and kind of do. So I'm interested in stuff from my childhood, like the stuff that looks like this. I was willing 10 years ago to start exploring that, to see if there's any meat on those bones, and to see how can I make this my own? What tools can I use to do that? And all of the accidents that happened along the way. And by accidents, I mean things that I didn't realize I would be interested in until I did them. Like, that's an accident. You know, I just said, I'm going to try to do something with a rainbow. And I didn't realize I would enjoy it as much as I did. And that dictated the next 5 years of my career. So it's a combination of those three things that, you know, the style or the kind of work that I do kind of fell out of the bottom of those. But that's just and this isn't advice. That's not what I'm giving right now. It's just my experience. I know that trajectory for other people that have found their creative voice, their story is wildly different, and that changes from artist to artist. So that's just how I did it.
Yeah, and I'd like to chip in that I would always, well, maybe not now. I'm becoming quite comfortable in having this voice, but I always wanted a definable style. We look at people when we were, you know, in our heyday of 123 Clan and Designers Republic and, you know, Tokidoki and all these people and Macbeth, you know, these people who had such a definable style. Yes, you know, and I just didn't have one, and I was always upset and frustrated. But yeah, over time to realize, okay, those people have found that style, and that's that, and wonderful for them. But it's okay it's okay to not have your own. You know, if you just focus on the kind of work that you want to make, it's okay that it doesn't all look the same. It, you know, it will hopefully will be connected to you because it has those similar values, which is where the voice thing for me at least kicks in. So yeah, please don't you don't have a style. It will either come or it won't. Don't chase it. Just evolve naturally.
It's about the journey, not the destination.
Yeah, boy. Ow.
All right, we got one from Laura Baj. Do you ever get overwhelmed and leave projects unfinished, or do you finish everything that you start?
I'll let you go, James.
Yeah.
The way that you said that, it makes me think no.
Yeah, this is here. I got an example right here. This is full of unfinished comic books that I tried to do throughout my life. There's a whole bunch of them in here, and yeah, I would start them and not finish them because I would be overwhelmed. So, and that's just one example. I think everybody, especially in my past, like in my 20s, I had a ton of unfinished projects. Like, I was inspired by Homestar Runner at one point, so I wanted to do online flash animations, and I got one walk cycle animated, and I was like, this is a lot of work. I don't want to do this. And then moved on to something else, probably another comic book that I then didn't finish after that. But yeah, of course, like I have unfinished projects, and that I easily got overwhelmed with, and that's normally due to taking on it's like way too big of a project. It would take a team of people, or I didn't plan it properly, or just straight up immaturity. You know, that's you know, I'm just not a mature enough artist to pull off what I want to pull off, so I get overwhelmed and then leave. So yeah, so but everybody has those at every point in their career. So yeah, I'm no exception.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. Yeah, for multiple different reasons, of too ambitious for what my skills were, to losing the energy, to yeah, all sorts of stuff. And I think I just try and recognize it as quickly as I can that, okay, you've had this idea, you thought it was great at the time. Nah, it's a really bad idea. And it's okay to just kill it. It's absolutely okay to kill it. But also, if you do think there's legs in it, you know, and it's more just, if you still believe in the idea, but it's just the energy levels to get over the finish line, then do try and finish it off. But if it's really desperately making you unhappy, then do shoot it in the face. It's up to you. But you know, just put it to bed and then start something else. Don't let yourself dwell on, oh, I didn't finish it. Oh, maybe I'm not. Yeah. Like, don't let yourself dwell on it, because you then won't start something else. Just kill it, move on to something else.
You know what you do, actually, a little bit of advice. If you have a bunch of unfinished projects, you put them all together and you put together an art book and print it on blurb. And that way it gives you a home for all of that work. Despite them being unfinished, you can say that they're unfinished in the book, but it gives you a home for all of that stuff, and you have a nice book full of nice artwork. So there you go.
And you never know where it might come in handy as well. You know, actually, someone might say, "Oh, I really need this kind of something visual or whatever it is," and you might have a little starting point. So it's, you know, it's nothing, you know, nothing ventured, nothing gained sort of thing. So you might as well
Absolutely.
just. Jonathan, hey Jonathan, any advice for finding like-minded people to collaborate on projects with? Well, first of all, you're doing it and killing it, because I saw you join the Discord earlier, and you're here on Instagram, so you're throwing yourself into communities like all of us are, which is amazing. So you're putting yourself in the space, so that's always never to be underestimated, I don't think. So you're doing it. I think it's just making noise and just sort of shouting out and reaching out to people. You know, if there's people in mind that you want to collaborate with, send an email, give them a call, give them a tweet. Just, you know, the fact that you're already doing it, there's kind of no advice, because you can never count on what other people's situations are. You know, other people or groups really might want to collaborate, but it doesn't work out for timing or schedules or whatever it may be. But just keep, you know, throwing those connections out there into the universe, and something will happen. And it only ever has to happen once, you know, to make this magical thing. You know, look at it as we became Flickr bros, and then you know 15 years later we're really good friends doing stuff together. So that's the good stuff, where I think if you just are a naturally open person, or you make yourself a naturally open person to collaboration, good stuff will be happening. And you're doing it, mate, by being here, by being part of stuff. So that's my advice anyway.
Yeah. No, man, I can't add anything to that, dude. Like, Jonathan, if you're involved in Gav's Discord, you already have like two things in common. You know who Gav is, and odds are you're around creative people already. Like, those are the people that are going to end up at your Discord. So you're already among the people that you need to be among. Yeah. So just talk with them, show your work, and yeah, man, strike up friendships. Yeah.
Yeah. Your one next, mate.
Yeah. Egypts. Do you have any advice for how to promote yourself online? Oof. Man, that's a big one. See, and this is the thing, like us talking about Flickr just now, like we come from a different time of promoting ourselves online, like putting stuff on Flickr and putting it on blogs and that sort of thing. But nowadays, just get on the big three, I guess. The big three being like, I guess, Dribbble and Twitter and Instagram. Probably Behance. I use Behance too, and there's a large community there too. But it's just in terms of promoting yourself, just try to be fresh with your content. You know, just keep making new stuff and putting it out there. It doesn't have to be, like Gav said earlier, it doesn't have to be the Sistine Chapel every single time, but just to show people that you're interested in pursuing the creative arts and putting stuff out and talking about it with enthusiasm as well. That's something that obviously, like, that's kind of why Gav and I, one of the reasons we became friends, is because I saw this dude always talking about fun stuff and always being happy online and talking about his work enthusiastically. So you know, talk about it with enthusiasm. And you know, just it's a, you know, it's a thick jungle out there, but you just got to try. You got to put it out, put your work out there, and hopefully, you know, it'll fall in front of the right people.
It is a lot of work though. It isn't to be underestimated. It is a job in itself, because yeah, you know, formatting things for 3 different places, or 4 different, 5 different, you know. So, but just build that into your workflow. Really build that into your routine, and I think it pays to be on top. And it's frustrating, of course, because we all also hate these social media giants. They're really not very nice. You know, Facebook, I believe, is pure evil. But you know, I'm big. You know, I'm on Instagram a lot, and I use it a lot, and it's a great tool. But you know, use Instagram like Instagram is using you. You know, kind of you try and get the most out of it. And if that happens to be trying to pursue, you know, forward your creative career, then use that for everything it can take, because Facebook are certainly taking other things from other people. So yeah, but just build it into your workflow, and but also, you know, in this era, you know, hopefully output a nice big high res. You know, I'd also say that probably make a square version, a widescreen, and a 9:16 version. Just kind of, if you have the format dimensions kind of in your mind frame already when you're creating stuff, it will just make it a hell of a lot easier, because you can then make it flow by going, oh, I can bosh it on Instagram feed, Instagram stories, tweet it out, put it on Behance, put it on Dribble, and update my website. You know, it's a lot, but you never know where anyone's looking. People are commissioning, and people are creating, and people are finding new artists and new work all the time by all different mediums. So unfortunately, that means that you have to put in the energy and time. But good luck.
Yeah, good answer, man. Yeah.
Thanks, babes.
I could probably do 1 or 2 more here, man, and I'm getting tired.
Yeah, I can feel my eyes get. I was up till about 1:30 playing Animal Crossing in bed. I'm really tired.
Man, I'm so jealous, man. I was gonna buy a Switch like when Animal Crossing came out, and then everything happened out there. And it's like, oh man, having Animal Crossing would be so dope right now.
I know, I love it. I've never played one before, and I got totally caught up in the hype, because everyone was talking about it, and I just kept seeing stuff. I thought, that just looks so sweet, and that is what I need right now. I really need it. Nice. And it is awesome. It's very calming, very sweet, it's just beautiful. It's just Nintendo. Everything is exquisite. Everything is. The sound design. So my character doesn't have a total sidechain. My character doesn't have shoes on, because I'm walking around this island just in barefoot, because I thought, I bet that'd feel really nice walking on the sand. It's just the sound design of how your feet. So when you go indoors, you know, when like you've been outside, you know, and it's hot, and you go in the villa, and it's like that marble, and your feet gently stick to it, and it's really nice and cool. Even the sound design of that is beautiful. It's like, oh,
nice.
Awesome.
Oh man, I'm super jealous, man.
Right, tell you what. Let's smash through these questions really quick. Then do as many as we can really quickly.
Okay.
Okay. Right. I'll read it out really quick. Bearded Creative. How do you feel the balance of working on a passion project and jobs that pays the bills? How's the balance for you?
The balance is right now, I don't have any paying clients on, because they all canceled on me. But so it's all creative. It's all passion projects right now. But I try to do 4 days a week on client work, and then 1 day a week on passion projects, typically.
Nice. Routine. Awesome. I would agree. I would just let you answer that one, mate, because I don't do anything for money in my own passion project time. Day job pays the bills, frees me up to do stuff in the evening.
Right. Best film you've watched so far during lockdown?
Haven't watched any films yet. That's the thing. So I save the films to the weekend, get the work done at night. Disney Plus has launched those, so I'm sorted.
Oh man, I think mine would be, oh crap, probably Enter the Dragon. I think. Yeah,
all right.
I'll go with that. What else we got?
Oh, that's a good one. We can quickly do what Tony asked. How did you both come up with your aliases? Having a lot of trouble coming up with my creative projects. I'll quickly go. I really adore alter egos. I'm a big fan of rap. I'm also a big fan of things like Designers Republic, 123 Clan, MF Doom, Aesop Rock. You know, I love alter egos hiding behind them. Desperately wanted a cool one. Couldn't think of a cool one at all, but needed a domain name. So I went to a domain name registrar place and just typed Jam, because I like jam. And I think he is odd at the time, and all of his stand-up routines always seem to pivot around jam. So it was in my conscience. And so I went Jam Factory, and it was available, and I stuck with it.
James. I got a graphic novel to show you. I brought this into work one day, and I threw something right there.
No!
Yeah, for real. That's Neil Gaiman and Dave McKeon, Signal to Noise, and I threw something on there and saw Signal Noise. This was in 1999, and I wrote it down, and then the next morning I still liked it, so I registered it.
Amazing. So what you can take away from that, Tony, is there is no rhyme or reason, and you'll never be able to think of a cool name. Just go with your gut. And a name is a name. It means whatever you mean it to mean.
It's what you make it too, isn't it? Like I was talking to Mr. Bingo about that, and he said like I said, would you have picked that name? And he went, no, I hate that name, or something along those lines. And but he made it what it is, right? So it's just synonymous with him and his work now. So yeah.
Awesome. Quickly, what kind of roles are available within animation? And you're a fine artist, poet, writer. Tons and tons of roles. Writers, storyboarders, script editors. So definitely in terms of words, there's lots within that. Production, design, art department, building, making, editing, creating, recording. There is an infinite amount. If it can be helpful, go to ardman.com/jobs. Always a great place to check.
Oh, nice.
Bash asks, what's in the pressure cooker, Gav? Hello, Bash. Jane since told me you put acid in that. It is called a pickle, and it but I've already forgotten what she said. It boils the bones of intruders in our house or something.
Tiny intruders.
Tiny, really, like rats and mice. No, I feel bad. I love rats and mice. We don't kill anything. This is not a kill factory.
It's not a kill factory? It's
jam factory. That was my original tagline. It's not a kill factory. It's a jam factory.
Nice. I've got one here. What have you learned any useful techniques for visualizing the same thing in different ways?
For me, I just love different tools. So 3D, 2D, music, trying to be a bit of a Swiss Army knife in terms of creativity. That's kind of what I would say. Just try all the different tools that are out there. There's always something new all the time. Have a little play, have a little go. It becomes really difficult because you end up knowing not a lot about many things, but it's fun to try.
You know what I'm going to say for that? No.
Does it have lightning? No, then I'm not interested.
Yeah. I learned how to use Photoshop and Illustrator in 1995, and I never learned anything since. I kind of do the same thing over and over again. Yaw Designs, thank you very much for the question, man. Yeah,
great. Signal Noise is cooler than Jam Factory. Damn it!
What? Did I win? Did I win the contest? I didn't.
Yeah, you won. Damn it.
No, I don't know about that. On that cloud, I think you're misjudging.
I'm laughing, but I'm really crying inside.
And Naomi has told me, my wife, she's told me many times that I'm not cool. So you're wrong.
Do you have kids, and are they driving you mad? James, do you have kids, and are they driving you mad?
I don't, so they're not.
That's good. I do, and they are. No, they're not. No, I have one. He's 3. He's very sweet and adorable. And God bless my amazing wife. So I'm working at the minute, like working from home, and Jane is looking after Sullivan full time, of course, because there's no nurseries and things. But that's what we do anyway. Jane looks after him, and she's an incredible mother, and incredibly patient, and incredibly kind and loving and giving. So actually that's a big thing about finding a partner that is really supportive of you and what you do. And because she's creative and I'm creative, we have an understanding of just when you just need to get stuck into that thing. We both recognise that in each other. So yes, even though we have a mad 3-year-old. we're getting through. We're getting through.
Nice. I got a question here. David S. Tatum. Digital or physical portfolio?
Both, if you can.
I haven't seen that question in about 15 years. Things are typically digital now, and I would assume that a digital would be like the norm. But a physical portfolio, do people still bring in like physical portfolios to like job interviews and stuff?
Well, I don't think so. No, not in jobs. But I got a great one recently from a student. I mean, it was brilliant. It was a book, and it had a £1 coin taped to the front, and it basically, the book was different ways to spend £1. It was awesome. It really made me laugh. He designed and illustrated the whole thing, and I didn't realize he was a student. It wasn't until I got to the back where he says, "Oh, I'm a student looking for work. You could spend this £1." I was like, that was just amazing, and that was something I saw. I just thought that's great. So there are real ways to make the most of a printed matter. And, straight away, I just thought if I was hiring for that role, absolutely, I'd want to meet him, because it was great. It was a fun, playful use of the material. It was brilliant.
That's interesting that you brought that up, Gav. And David, thank you for posing that question, because wouldn't that be a great way to stand out these days? Like, present a printed portfolio, because people typically send links to their website or their Dribble or their Instagram or something, right? But like showing up and doing something dope with a printed portfolio, like that would be a way to stand out almost instantly.
Yeah, it kind of would, wouldn't it? Yeah, because that's the other thing as well. It is worth saying that, if you are emailing or sharing your digital portfolio with a potential employer or something like that, do back it up with a nice email. It's funny how many people do share stuff without any contacts or with any politeness or with any one-to-one. Really just put as much thought as you would do in the email as you would composing a beautiful piece of graphic design or a poster or whatever it may be. The presentation is key, and that applies to emails. That applies to text or a WhatsApp or whatever.
Yeah.
So, like anything, it just shows engagement and consideration. So,
Gav, do you have any of your old work like printed? Like your old.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've got 2 boxes upstairs. Pretty much everything I've ever made, I've got one. Maybe we should do one of them as well, like the archives. I mean, quite a lot is embarrassing, but in a really good. Like, I'm proud of it. Yeah. But it's funny seeing how many vector drips I did back in 2004.
Awesome. Yeah, we got to do that. We got to do that show, man, where we show like old, embarrassing, early design stuff. Because I got that stuff too, man. Like, that would be awesome.
There we go then. So we'll do one with our inspirations with like books and art and all of that stuff. We'll do one of them. Maybe we'll do that next one for number 3, because that'd be great. And then should we do an archive dig?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Oh, that'd be so fun.
Awesome.
So I think running out too. Everything's.
I know. Shall we take? You pick one more question, because I think my battery's about to die as well. We've got
really?
through most of them.
All right.
Thank you again. Thank you again to everyone for doing it.
Let me pick one. Do you recommend freelance versus in-house?
Well,
it's whatever you want to.
Oh no, you go, James.
Okay. No, it's whatever you want to do and whatever you feel most comfortable with. Really, freelance is a harder go, because you don't really know where your next paycheck is going to come from, and it's kind of feast or famine. Whereas in-house designer has a regular paycheck. But it depends on what you want out of the career. Like, I know people that are perfectly happy at in-house design jobs. I mean, Gav is one of them. I'm perfectly happy doing freelance, but it's what you feel, and it's what direction you want to go in your career. And every designer or artist has to kind of decide that for themselves. So I wouldn't recommend either way. It's whatever you feel is best for yourself.
I feel I've done both. I got my first job as a junior designer, then went freelance, and then became a part of Aardman. And I wouldn't change the way it is. What I love the security of a day job, of the financial security, and the colleagues and the collaboration and learning from these people. And then I love having the free time to well, small free time to develop my own stuff. Obviously, the trade-off there is my free time is drastically reduced. Whereas when I was working for myself, suddenly I would give myself half a day instead of just 2 hours to work on that silly idea I had, and it all blended together because you can be flexible. You know, if you don't have any work coming up, but you know you do the next week, you're like, well, great, I've got a week to sort of, you know, do your own stuff. So it's far more flexible. But of course, like James says, it's more risky financially. If you can make a good go of it, then you can earn more. You know, freelancers do earn a lot more than staff, so you can do that. But again, it's I think it's what's right for you at that point in your life, because you can always change.
Yeah,
if you want to. I know it's difficult to. I'm not saying it's easy, but you can, you know, jack a job in and decide to go freelance, or you can start looking for jobs if you want to change your situation. So, especially in the world of design, nothing is forever, both as a positive and a negative. So don't feel like you have to be trapped. Of course, you have to take consideration in your financial situation and your life and who you provide for, but you know, don't feel like it will weigh you down forever. If you really feel like you want to give it a go, try it. Do try it. You know, it'll be tough, but it'll be really worth that creative risk to see if that's where you want to go, because you realize a new path might be exactly what you needed.
Good answer.
Thanks, mate. I think we better leave these lovely people to it, and we better get to bloody bed, eh? Animal Crossing's calling me. I need to go and check on my island.
Yeah, but, oh, that's right too. Yeah, you got some peaches to pick or whatever the hell you're growing.
I do. I'm very busy.
Nice. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for showing up in the chat and hanging out with us this entire time. We really appreciate it, and it's great to see you all. And I hope you're all doing well and you're safe and you're healthy. Yeah.
I second that totally. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you for sticking around for nearly another hour. That's very kind of you. Thank you for all the questions. It really means a lot. And we have a blast doing this. Me and James talk on WhatsApp all the time, and we're excited. And so I think you'll probably see us again, same time next week, next Wednesday. And we'll probably look at sharing some of our favorite bits and bobs and inspiration and things. So yeah, look after yourselves. Thank you so much. Be safe. Stay at home, and we'll see you soon.
Have a good night, everybody. Bye, guys.
Peace. Bye.